I want to ask this question, Dr. Zoe. Now that you said this, we have to learn the people, like we have to bring the real asanas to learn Parai. Like we do that for learning Carnatic music,
Correct.
Bharatanatyam and all that. That is really an eye opener. Like instead of learning from you after learning for so many years, you are saying that we need to bring the core people
Yes.
to, to teach us, right? So that is my points to my next question, which is like, so is Parai just music or is it the life of oppressed people? How do
Mm,
you look at it?
mm, mm. I mean, that's a big question. It's probably the question of my book. Um, you know, yeah, of course, it's not. Nothing is just music. In ethnomusicology, we would say, it's not just music. It's not just sound. It's not just patterns that we can analyze. It reflects values. It reflects power. There's a power in this instrument. There's a power to bring people together, to unify people, to heal people. And what's beautiful, if you look at all of those genre um, associations, right? So many of them are for women, right? So I mean, sure, you have first earring piercing, but you have 7 months pregnant, right? There's an
Valakapu.
ID for that. There's yeah, balik kapu. Um, um,
And then you said sadangu, everything
yeah,
related to.
exactly. And these are all women oriented weddings, even, for women, or for a couple, but that's really important for women. So I think it's really important to recognize that as well, that so many of these life cycle events, we would call, are oriented towards women. Yeah. So um,
So,
now within the Dalit liberation movement in Tamil Nadu, the drum has been taken as a the phrase is um, uh, a weapon. What is it? I'm sorry. Um, basically it's a weapon for liberation. So how can music? Is it just a music? How can music be liberating? How can music be a tool of protest? How can music be a tool against oppression? This is how the Dalit liberation movement is using it in Tamil Nadu, and it requires reclaiming its value. And this is the problem within the movement. Some leaders believe you should distance yourself, reject anything associated with pollution. Don't eat beef, don't touch the drum, all of these things. And other people, like my teacher, Baratai, believe we should reclaim its value, reclaim it as worthy. But that takes more effort. That takes a change of discourse, the change of the way we talk about it, and the change of heart. Manasamatu, right? Manasamatu. So, but I see that happening, and that's a beautiful thing. And
okay.
I
So you
thank
have beautifully, yeah, sorry.
my Tamil Makale, Manasamatu.
மனச மாத்து அப்படிங்கிறாங்க, மாத்தி யோசி அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. மனச மாத்துங்க, அதுதான் ஒரே வழி அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. இசையின் மூலம் அவர்களுக்கு, அந்த மக்களுக்கு, ஒடுக்கப்பட்ட மக்களுக்கான விடுதலையை வாங்கி தருவது.
ஆமா.
மிகச்சிறப்பா நீங்க அழகா சொன்னீங்க. இப்போ இந்த ரீக்ளைமிங் த ட்ரம் இருக்குல்ல, where are we in this? Like, are we successful? What are all the efforts being taken in India and in America? Like, is it going in the right path? That's my question.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think change is definitely happening, and change always happens, and it's okay to use it creatively, to use it in new contexts. People bring it into rock and roll or whatever, while remembering its values as a collective art. This is a group art, and so I think I'm the work of Mani Maran is so key in this. He's mostly working within the Chennai context. Um, Also, our friend Shakti Tamil in Coimbatore has done a lot of work. I know that he's a friend of yours as well. He's done a lot of important work and and research as well. So and the things that I'm trying to do. But I think so it is changing, and I think we I just want to communicate, particularly to the Tamil, the American Tamil community, that to be very conscious in your process, to remember the artists. And I love the work that Star is doing in Seattle, because they are doing fundraisers and giving funds back to the artists and their family members, their children particularly, to go to college. They're raising lots of funds to do that. So we need to support the artists in whatever way we can, because if the artists don't survive, and I don't believe that there's a risk of them not surviving, but you know, I think the art is very alive in the village context. But if we don't support the artists, then that's where the knowledge will really be lost. And to understand the full knowledge, not only the history, you know, we don't just go back to Sangha, but we have to look at what happens, you know, in the 9th century, in the 11th century, and all of these things as well, in the 1500s with the Nayakis. You know, we need to do all of this history. So yes, things are changing. American Tamils need to continue to, you know, yes, embrace this drum, touch this drum, make it touchable, but be conscious of our responsibility towards the artists. It's not just about the instrument, it's about the artists and the knowledge that they have.
நீங்க ரொம்ப அழகா சொன்னீங்க. கலைஞர்களை வளர்க்கும் பொழுதுதான் கலை வளரும் அப்படிங்கிறது புரிஞ்சுது. அந்த நாலேஜ் இருக்கணும்னா சும்மா அதை கத்துக்கிட்டு போறது இல்ல. நம்ம அந்த கலைஞர்களை அதுக்கான வழியை கூட நீங்க சொல்லிருக்கீங்க. We need to support the artist, give education to their children, like just not learning the art. You need to support the artist அப்படின்னு சொல்றீங்க. இன்னும் ஒரு படி மேல நான் சொல்லுவேன், touch the drum அப்படின்னீங்க. நம்முடைய கல்யாணங்களில் அமெரிக்காவில் இப்ப நிறைய கல்யாணங்கள் நடக்க தொடங்கிடுச்சு. தமிழ் கல்யாணங்களில் நாம் பறையடித்து கொண்டாட வேண்டும். தேடுறோம், நாதஸ்வர வித்வான்களையும் மிருதங்க வித்வான்களையும் நாம் தேடி அலைந்து எவ்வளவு கொடுக்கணுமோ கொடுத்து கொண்டு வரோம். இன்னைக்கும் நான் பாக்குறேன், பறை கலைஞர்களை கொண்டு வந்து நாம் கல்யாணம் நடத்துவதையும் ஒரு புரட்சியாக நாம் செய்ய வேண்டும் அப்படிங்கிறதையும் நான் இங்க சொல்லிக்கிறேன். Now let's talk about your book, and you have done 2 documentary productions. I watched the Shakti Vibrations. Yes, that was an amazing movie. I felt myself in that movie, because ஒரு southern cities-ல வளர்ற பெண்கள் பொதுவாகவே ஒரு செல்ஃப் கான்பிடன்ஸ் ரொம்ப இல்லாம, லீடர்ஷிப் ஸ்கில்ஸ் எல்லாம் இல்லாம தான் இருப்பாங்க. அவங்களுக்கு அந்த 1 year training, how it makes them shine. I was really amazed. Tell about all those your efforts in bringing this beautiful music, culture, and the life behind it to the world.
Yeah, so I really thought that documentary film is the way to get this message out, that the parai is being used as a tool of liberation. And that's, you know, first of all, the idea that music can be used in a political context. Yes, it is. It always is. You know, the song "We Shall Overcome" for the civil rights movement in the United States. You know, yes, the music, the arts are a powerful tool of transformation. And when you're dealing with oppressed people, you have to start with their internalized oppression, internalized sexism, casteism, homophobia, all of that is inside. We believe the things that the oppressors are telling us, and that controls us. So how can we transform the individuals? And the model that Sister Chandra and Felsi have created and have used for the last 30 years in Dindigul is to use the folk arts, to reclaim the drums. You know, they also do so many folk dances, Karagatam, Wailatam, Kumi, all of that. And they use it to build the self-esteem of these young women. And that's it's part of their pedagogy. They never say to the young woman who's learning, you're doing it wrong, you've made a mistake. You know, which is in some ways the way, you know, my teacher taught me, you know, they'll take a ruler and slap your foot when you're playing mridangam, you know, this kind of calling you a fool. You know, that's the old school, you know, classical, you know, kind of pedagogical system sometimes. My vocal teacher was not that way at all. She was so patient with me. But so I'm trying to show economists and development people that development projects need to be founded based in the arts. And that will deal with, you can't just go in to a young person who has failed high school, right? So they're not only Dalit, they're poor, they're women. They've also all, they've not passed their 10th standard exams. So you can't just go in with somebody like that and say, oh, let's teach them tailoring to give them skills to use in the village when they go back. Because how are they going to learn tailoring if they haven't been able to learn math or whatever? So it's using the folk arts to build that self-esteem, to build leadership skills, collective, uh, group cohesion, that kind of thing. They also have a whole program where they, everybody has a job in the center. Either you cook or you clean or you do gardening. Everyone shares in this production of the life at the center. So it's an amazing program. Um, Sister Chandra deserves so many awards and so much respect for the work that she's doing. Um, so so that's what that film is about, and I'm trying to show through visual images how you go from these girls the first day they come to the center, they're awkward, they can't keep time, they can't even do takadimi, they're playful, to the end after 9 months or a year, they're the confidence you see in their bodies, right, as they're performing is just amazing. That physical transformation, and that's why the medium of film is so powerful, because you can really see. And I think you just talked about that. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I don't know, with the other things with my book, I've talked about um, the historical work I'm doing. I'm also looking at the contemporary movements. I'm looking at the history of the Communist Party in Tamil Nadu, of their support of the artists. From, I think they were the first ones to put the artist on stage, to invite them to their rallies, to perform, to, in some cases, support them financially. So I'm really interested. I've done a few interviews about this, but I'm really interested in learning more about that shift. I think that was a really significant shift. Um, my last chapter is about the global parai, its use in the diaspora by Tamil people. I'm also doing an analysis chapter where I'm using film instead of, traditionally we might use notation or just written descriptions. I'm trying to use film as a means to analyzing. And then I'm also looking just what is the context of the parai in the village today, in the NGO context. So I'm really trying to, write about those various people. Although things are changing so quickly, it's amazing. Um, yeah.
Okay, so now, after talking to you for like 1.5 hours or so, we got the whole picture of Parai, not just Parai Isai. Like in recent years, we are hearing Parai Isai in all our Tamil Sangam Nigalchigal, like all the functions in Tamil Sangam. But this interview really opened my eye, like the viewers would have felt the same, of complete understanding of Parai. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your research, your learning experience in Madurai. Like, since especially I grew up in Madurai, Lady Doak and all, like we were there, right? So
Yeah.
it was really fun listening to all that, and it was so nostalgic. And you can say I had such a wonderful time. Thank you so much for coming here and accepting our invitation to share all your thoughts. We really
My pleasure.
appreciate your time and effort and the service that you are doing for Parai and the Kalingargal, Parai Kalingargal.